know they're going to, yep, they got it. Here it is. McCall stepping up, going deep, has him in, and the catch is made for the touchdown to Javon Hiley.
Pressure again. Rush 5. Jones behind the defense again. Devontae Smith. Nobody can cover him. They've tried a couple of different defenders.
Championship game. Notre Dame faces Clemson next week in South Bend. Here's Kyron Williams off the left side on second down. They block pass free, and it's recovered by Georgia Tech. Scoop defense of Ari Walton. Nobody's going to catch up. Scoop and score for Walton. A chance to tie the game for Tech.
Choose from for Shannon Ingram. Skins the field. Lets it fly. End zone. Touchdown. Texas brings pressure. Sanders in trouble. Osai chases and hits him. And ends the game. McCarty setting up a screen. He has Hayward. Touchdown, Michigan State.
Second and 4. Clemson looking to take the lead.
And Etienne will do it. Travis Etienne, record breaker, and surging with this cup.
What a great weekend of college football. We had so many great games. There were upsets. There were near upsets. We've got ourselves a new number one and a brand new top contender for the Heisman Trophy Award. What an amazing week of football. I'm Joe McGuire. Thank you for joining us on All Four Downs, a Clovercrest Media Group sports presentation, along with Sean Scanlon, Jace Garcia, and Ovi Munez. And our special guest this week from the podcast I'll Piss You Off Shortly, Rob Benjamin, is going to be here. Rob, what is you're a Notre Dame fan, is that?
You know, Gator Blue. You see it in the bag, right? That Gator Blue, baby.
I joke.
The Florida Gator Blue.
Well, we're glad to have you here. We got so much to talk about this week. Your Gators, are, by the way, are going to get it before the night is out. Coach Dan Mullen.
Most definitely.
Dude, yes. I mean, this guy, he's got to be the biggest moron in college football right now. Like, he's turned into a heel. He's turned into a heel in a season of, like, where you just want to feel bad for everybody. Like, Dan Mullen's the one guy where you're like, come on, COVID.
Wow, really?
Dude,
so I'm gonna have to.
Look, Dan Mullen doesn't care about anybody but himself.
Why is that, Joe?
I'll tell you before the show is out. I'm gonna lay it all on the line before the night is out. I'm ready. One man campaign. Why I think, and I've got friends, by the way, who played at Florida. And I'm going to talk to them. I think that to save the program, I think it's time to move on from Dan Mullen. He's an idiot. It's a good coach, just an idiot.
And Rob has nothing to defend him or anything else.
No,
I thought we
was gonna save it. I mean, because if I go
that's right.
We're gonna be here for a minute. If I go in, we don't want to start the show that way.
No, we don't want to start off like your show. I'll piss you off because that's what you do.
Exactly. I don't want to piss anybody off too early.
But before we get there, let's break it down to the scores. What happened on week 9 of the college football? As we can see here, that's right. Coastal Carolina over Georgia State, 51-0.
That's a good football team.
Alabama over Mississippi State. Both those games were shutouts. And Coastal Carolina, I gave them a lot of love. We'll be talking about the rankings here shortly. BYU defeated Western Kentucky 41-10. Notre Dame, which will be playing Clemson this week, defeated Georgia Tech 31-13. And as you can see the rest of the scores, there were some magnificent games going on here. So, and of course, Boise State over Air Force 49-30. However, what wasn't so great was this right here. I mean, this is terrible. You know, Texas.
Go ahead, Michigan State.
Just when we thought Oklahoma State was going to be the team to represent the Big 12, they fall short, losing to Texas.
I hate to say I told you all so, but I told you Oklahoma State was going to lose.
But guess who else fell down?
I did.
Yes, I did.
I did, not you.
Yes, I did.
Oh my God!
Go look at the
Most
picks.
certainly, I've been saying from week 1 they were going to lose.
You picked Oklahoma State though. I was the only one to pick Texas.
No, I didn't. Somebody better check
Yeah,
the
you did.
replay
Run the tape.
That's, I'm telling you. I feel like week
run
in
the
and week
tape.
out, my picks are getting like changed.
Sean's throwing
So the only
You're-
person really that picked Texas was Sean. Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
I said
Good pick.
Oklahoma State was going to lose. I said Michigan State was going to beat Michigan. Was I dreaming, or did those things happen?
Well, see, the times that you
You
like
did have
to,
the Michigan State one.
Yeah, you picked Michigan State. Yeah.
yeah, but it's
You got
all
one of
good. and also Kansas State losing to West Virginia.
That one
pretty
hurt
much
me because that one I
cancels
believed
out.
in Kansas State.
Yeah, definitely cancels out the Big 12 to be in the college football playoffs. We'll talk about that later as well. But hey, this is the week. If we were without the pandemic, this is what had been the week, the start of the committee, the college football committee, to go over who will be running for the college playoffs. But since they can't do it this year, they pushed it back to Thanksgiving. We're going to start our own on this segment, and there's going to be some surprises there. Believe that. But before we do, here are the leaders of this past week. Nick Starkel, Carson Strong for 2 straight weeks, putting up good numbers, and Matt Corral came out of the shell finally and represented Ole Miss. Rushing leaders, everyone's talking about Breece Hall being one of the Heisman candidate. He's been having a success, leading the way for Iowa State. Well, Mohamed Ibrahim and Jake Funk, he got the funk all right.
The Funk Yard Dog.
I love it.
And the receiving leaders, Devontae Smith represented Alabama in a great way. 4 touchdown passes was given to him. 11 receptions for 203 yards. That's pretty awesome, especially over Mississippi State, 41-0. And then we got Elijah Moore and Diami Moore. Good job for those guys. And then here's our Heisman candidates from the All 4 Downs committee that was made up of 7 members. So I'm happy to say that this is going strong. But Mac Jones received 6 out of 7 votes for first place. And Trevor Lawrence got 1. But we might see a big difference come out after next week's list. But Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and Travis Etienne there. Grayson McCall, Kyle Trask, Najee Harris, Breece Hall, Desmond Ridder, and Devontae Smith also got votes, but we're not really in the top 5. Guys, what do you feel about this list? Do you think this list is accurate? Do you guys think that Jones is the man? I'll start with you, Jace, because I know you was on that Jones hater bag real quick. But
all right, yeah, he's my front runner. I was part of one of those 6 votes. I put him there at number 1. The one thing that I don't get is how do you have Trevor Lawrence still there? Yeah, he's got the Coco. I did not put him in my rankings. I put Desmond Ridder in there. He's doing good things with this Cincinnati team, and I think he deserves some Heisman love.
Well, I don't know about the Coco. I mean, that's a different type of song, you know. Those of you that know, I even forgot how that song went, but
I'm in love with the Coco.
Yeah. But anyways,
I got it for the low.
but Sean, hey, do you think Justin Fields should be even in the list even after 2 games?
Yes, I do believe so. He's been tremendous in his first 2 games. And he was going to be in the Heisman on the Heisman list at some point. We knew even if they started late that he would be there, and he's done nothing to prove that he's not in the top 5 right now. He's been playing tremendous ball, and I think I had him at number 2 in my rankings this week. So I think he's right there for the top spot.
Joe, you were talking about you had Grayson McCall as your number 4. Do you feel like he should be ahead of Trevor Lawrence at this point in time? I mean, I'm sure that Trevor Lawrence will be out of the list next week because he's not playing. But McCall, do you think he deserves it?
I do. You know, it's funny. I went back and I because Coastal Carolina is actually a really good football team, and I really wanted to see a little bit more about them and a little bit more about Grayson McCall. And I'll tell you what, man, this kid's got a touch on him like you can't even believe, and it's shocking. More people aren't saying this dude's name. He's a freshman, and he's just amazing. They're 6-0. I mean, when we talk about a lot of these other quarterbacks, especially, you know, having just done the G-Men show a little while ago, talking about NFL quarterbacks who didn't get a preseason, this is a freshman who just showed up on campus and was like, oh, I'll throw some dimes. You want to win 6 games? Let's do it. And I'll tell you what, leaving Ritter off my list, you know, it was a matter of, do I keep Trevor Lawrence on there? And I kind of went with the Khabib mentality of, you know, I know he's gone. Do I leave Trevor on for one more week? I felt it was the least I could do when I found out he was also going to be out definitely for Notre Dame. So there's going to be a changing of the guard, and I think it'll be interesting. And I just hope more people are paying attention to what Grayson McCall's doing, because it's
I can't help but you've been saying it since we started this show for this season that it is Trevor Lawrence for him to lose, and what an awful way to lose, being the top Heisman candidate because of COVID-19. Rob, I know you're new to us, so welcome again. You know, special guest for I'll Piss You Off podcast. Out of these 5, who you think is going to win it at the end?
Unfortunately, I think Trevor, if he can come back strong after his 2 weeks of being out, if he can come back strong, he'll probably win it. That's just me being a conspiracy theorist. Even though I would love to see, I don't think I've heard anybody say anything about Zach Wilson yet. He's come out phenomenally, and I think he has the best, I guess, outlook or prospect to be like the next like NFL quarterback. When you look at Trevor Lawrence, I think he's, not to say that his shine has come and gone, but I think now, especially how long he's been just playing in college, I think pro-wise, he's going to be able to be like, everybody's going to be able to pick him out a little bit, you know, especially with this whole full season. But my pick is Zach Wilson. I know it's a far and long pick, but I'm always an underdog person. And then if I were to kind of pick and choose, I definitely would have dropped Trevor Lawrence just for the simple fact that he's not in, and then give Breece Hall some shine. So when I saw Breece Hall pop up, I was very, very loving about that.
All right.
Nice.
Look, it's plenty of things, plenty of weeks. I mean, we still got all the way till December 12th to find out exactly what's going to happen with the Heisman race and everything else. But hey, let's change it real quick to a special head coach. This is Joe's favorite, Coach Mullen from the Florida Gators. He's back on the news again. At the beginning, it was about wanting fans in the stadium for home field advantage. Now he got some fans, but not in the way, I don't know. I mean, you got to check out the video for yourselves here. So this is the brawl that happened.
Can I point something out? Like, my man Mullen, everybody said he instigated, but he was trying to guide them and assist them along. So where does the accountability come from? And I know everybody's like, they're college kids. Well, guess what? They're adults too. So like, he's trying to push his kids around. You don't know what was said. There was no mics. So, but at the same time, I'm all for coaches backing up his players.
But was he really backing up the players? I mean, he ran to the middle of the field. We didn't see him holding players back or anything like that.
He was arguing because
he is a psycho, and I love it. Tomlin's a psycho too, low key psycho too, and that's why I love the Steelers.
So, Joe, how do you feel about him?
Well, again, I'm going to end the show with my whole analysis on this, but simply, what look with your eyes. What do I need to tell you?
But he did nothing. Look at him.
He did nothing. He did nothing to prevent that. He encouraged it while it was happening. He praised it after the game, and he also tried to fire up the crowd.
That's exactly what happened.
That's classless.
So what was he supposed to do? What was he supposed to do? I feel like this is kind of going to the fact, like, yes, your quarterback gets late hit. Like it wasn't even like a millisecond. That was a late hit. right?
They happen.
Yes, they happen.
I think the referee missed that call. Yes.
Exactly. So the referee misses the call. So he's trying to get the ref's attention. He's trying to stop. Well, and realistically, when you look at the video, it wasn't even Florida that was instigating at first. It was whatever player was coming from the opposing team, right? That was jawing off at the mouth. Once he started running off at the mouth, do what you got to do, coach. Do what you got to do. That's why you got other assistant coaches. You got everything else. Florida, we've been playing that kind of ball for years. You can't name one Florida coach that hasn't had his team's back.
Well, I tell you what, I think this was a message.
One coach prior.
And his defense, I think this is a message of what happened last week in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys when their quarterback got hit hard, got knocked out pretty much, and nobody came for his defense. So I can understand you back up the quarterback, you back up your team because, hey, that's your man. That's called trash, baby.
When's the last time Clemson was in a brawl?
They're too disciplined to have a brawl.
When's the last time Alabama had a brawl? When's the last time Ohio State
3
had a
seasons
brawl?
ago.
But that isn't the culture. The culture you want is them fighting for one another.
Exactly. I don't want no coach that's going to be sitting there. All right, guys. No, fuck that. If somebody disrespected me,
that's the you
have
don't
my
want,
back.
You don't want them to go at it. If someone, dude,
listen. Florida's not Miami. If we're talking about the U, then that trash is acceptable. That's Miami.
Okay,
that's
why
Miami
can't
that wasn't even Miami. That wasn't
That's
even
Miami stuff right there.
No,
I expect better from Florida than
Dan
that.
Mullen stuff.
I expect better than that. I'm sorry
let's
to say.
not forget Spurrier had the same thing. And Spurrier, he's an amazing coach, and he had the same fire and tenacity when he was at Florida, and even now. So so it's just like, and Spurrier's like, it's cool. Spurrier, you know what I mean? He did the kind of pro thing, but they said it's all right. He's having his back.
There's nothing all right about that.
I can see if they brought.
Hold on. These are kids.
They're adults.
These are kids in a pandemic following the lead, Rob, of supposed adults. That man's not an adult.
And maybe I shouldn't be a coach then, because I'm telling you right now, if I was a coach and you hit my quarterback like that, and there was probably some tension or something said before, I'm coming at you the same way.
How'd you feel about the Steelers and the Browns? You couldn't have liked that. I know you're a Steelers fan.
Which one?
That was cool that Myles Garrett did that?
No, and I would, and the way that Myles Garrett did that, I would have, if I was Tomlin, I would have been killing Garrett with that.
But did he? Did Mike Tomlin run on the field and attack somebody?
And what do I say about everybody that tries to compare peace and everything to MLK? I'm not MLK. I'm not somebody else that's going to be peaceful. I'm going to fight for my quarterback because my quarterback got fucking hit. Yes, it happens. But guess what? I want the coach that's going to sit there and fight for me and have my back.
2020, in a pandemic where you tell kids they can't high five or spit, this is not acceptable. And it starts with Dan Mullen.
So if somebody smacks you in your face, Joe, what are you supposed to do?
Smack them back.
I got a question. Was anyone arrested? Was anyone injured?
No, they weren't arrested. It was a football game, because if that garbage happened in real life, if a grown man attacked a child in real life, Dan Mullen would be in jail.
He didn't attack him. When we say attack, can we clarify what attack is? Can we clarify
attack? He put his hands on somebody who wasn't looking. That's what I consider an attack. If a grown man were to grab a young man like that in real life, he would be in jail. Make no mistake
grown men
about
have
it.
yanked me up from saying some disrespectful shit growing up, and I deserved it. You don't know what was said, and if the kid said some disrespectful shit, I'm sorry.
You can't excuse this resorting to violence in a pandemic with a country about to explode over a presidential election. I mean, tensions are hot. You're the adult in the room.
I hear you. I do hear you. I do understand what you're saying, Joe, but it's football.
I played football. I punched a dude in the face once, split my hand open on his face mask.
That day, didn't it?
I was the only N-word guy I was the closest to the guy that yelled it.
I hear you.
And so I punched him in the face. And do you know what my coach did? He grabbed me by my face mask and he screamed at me.
Was it right for him to put his hands on your face mask?
No, it wasn't.
And did he get
But he
arrested?
was pissed at me because I got a 15-yard
Part of football.
personal foul.
No,
on
you
the
don't
play.
know what
but
that
you know
did.
what,
That's
And
football.
we're going to focus back on this one. But what really happened is that Zachary Carter, Anton Powell, and Trey Williams, they did get a suspension. They'll be missing the first half of their next football games. For Carter and for Powell, they will miss the first half of Florida. For Williams, he will be missing the first half against Georgia next week. But there have been some additional players that once the SEC reviewed the game that also received punishment. So kudos to the SEC for taking charge and punishing those that were guilty.
scared.
Also the head coach did get a fine. So
That's chump change. That's chump change.
yeah,
Apple won that back for him on the stock market today. He good.
yeah, but hey, let's
better
move
start
on here.
giving that money because when he doesn't have a job, he's gonna need to live off the savings.
No, he'll be working for ESPN, man. He'll be
I'm
one
sure.
of the analysis.
Somebody's
sure.
gonna get him.
Yeah, sure.
I stand for Mullen.
All
As
right.
long as he's not around kids, that's really all I
yeah.
care about.
The CMG Sports Podcast has created a committee, a consensus committee, and again, normally at this time of frame, the college football committee will show us exactly who's going to be in the college playoffs. However, we'll move on from here. We'll look at our top 25. This is the standings what we have right now. Oklahoma, Louisiana, Iowa State, and Tulsa, Appalachian State. On the bottom, 21 through 25. We'll move on to 16 through 20. Oregon, Liberty, MSU, Boise State, and Indiana.
That Liberty team is a lot better than I think a lot of people think they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Liberty is.
Take a look at them. You gotta watch
understand.
that team play, boy. They're pretty good.
Liberty did beat a Big 12 team, so let's not forget that either.
No fluke, is I guess my point.
Yeah, 11 to 15, we got Oklahoma State, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, Army, and Wisconsin.
Coastal Carolina could easily beat Oklahoma State.
I believe that.
Easily.
I do. I think they have a good defense that can stop that offense. Absolutely.
I wouldn't say easily, but I think it'd be a good game.
When I mean easily, yeah, I don't mean like they'd blow them out by 30. I mean, I think they
why
could,
not? I mean, they manhandled the other Big 12 teams, so why not? Why not Oklahoma State?
Because I think Oklahoma State's still the best team in the Big 12, but I still think Coastal Carolina.
They manhandled Kansas, bro.
Yeah, Kansas is the worst team in the Big 12.
All right, so from 7 to 10, we got BYU, Texas A&M, Miami, and Florida. Florida got a big game coming up this week against Georgia. We'll see whether that factors in, will they move up, down, or maybe they'll start another fight and then, pay some more money for us. But the good thing, Miami's there. Aggies, they're making some noise. BYU have a big competition this weekend against Boise State. More to follow on that as we go.
I didn't have A&M in my top 10, by the way.
Of course you didn't.
I just want to put that out there.
What?
They're the best one-loss team in the SEC.
I don't think so.
Not
think
saying
so.
much.
You better take it easy there,
Even though they
buddy.
beat us once. Come on now.
It's not
They can't
saying
beat us
much.
again.
We wasn't talking about Florida. The Georgia is the best team. And as we look at here, if your team hasn't gone to the SEC championship for the last 4 or 5 years, don't say nothing.
But this year,
This year.
one-loss SEC team is Texas A&M.
Yeah,
Who has
sure.
Georgia beat?
Everybody
Texas
else but
A&M.
Alabama.
Texas A&M beat everybody else but Alabama.
And then we're moving on. We got Cincinnati and Georgia, 5 and 6. And here's number 4. Ohio State, 2-0. Now, I had a debate with one of the members in the committee, and he doesn't believe Ohio State should be there just because they only played 2 games.
Thank you. Just like Wisconsin. I don't understand why Wisconsin's even there with 1 game, but whatever.
All right. So
Ohio State's a good football team.
Notre Dame, number 3. Clemson, number 2. And number 1 is Alabama.
That checks out by me. And I think Cincinnati's going to be a real problem. And I told you guys at the beginning of the year, I thought Cincinnati was going to run the table. I think they're going to finish undefeated. And I think the fact that they're sitting right now at number 5 is a real problem for somebody.
Now, what if Clemson loses, Georgia wins? Does Georgia move up? Do they skip over Cincinnati? And does Clemson fall off?
Look, I think as long as Cincinnati, like BYU, has to go out every week and destroy their opponent. You're not going to – if Cincinnati wins 21-14, Cincinnati stays at 5.
5. Gotcha.
So and I don't like it, but that's what'll happen.
The Memphis win, the SMU win, and even upcoming, if they beat UCF, those are going to be pretty big wins in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee. So I could see them really sneaking in as that 4 spot after we see what happens with Clemson and Notre Dame.
Well, we know somebody's going to lose.
Yeah.
We know somebody's going to lose. And so I think it becomes a matter of, and this is why I have a problem with Georgia, because I think offensively they're just not good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah, only 14 points against Kentucky is not good.
But Kentucky's always known for the best defense. I know you guys like to hate on Georgia Bulldogs.
That's problematic that Georgia's that high up, because again, I think if Cincinnati wins big, say it doesn't matter, Clemson, Notre Dame, whatever, one of them are out of the top 5.
Absolutely, whoever loses is going to be out of the top 5 for one. But there could be a strong argument with Clemson because the excuse will be they didn't have Trevor Lawrence in the lineup. Clemson does. Trevor Lawrence doesn't play defense, so and they had a rough start last week against Boston College. So if they were to do that same performance against Notre Dame, Clemson's going to be in big trouble. But we also have Georgia and Florida that are going to be competing this week. So that's going to be a difference maker as well. Because if Georgia defeats Florida, they could potentially move up as well. Then we won't be talking about Cincinnati.
Would you guys all agree, too, though, that for the last 3 weeks, Alabama's definitely been the number 1 team in the country? That this is really just the formality of Clemson had to have that game where it was close and Bama was dominant, and so we could all officially make the move to Alabama number 1.
I think Clemson needs that loss. I'm that one. I'm that one right next to Clemson's name. I put Clemson at number 1. They need to have a loss. They need to be dethroned.
Listen, I could understand if Clemson was the defending national champions, but they're not. And right now, out of all the 6 teams that you see there, Alabama is clearly the number 1 team. They play in number 1, no matter what the conditions are on the field, they're making it happen. And everyone's doubting Mac Jones. And now all of a sudden, everyone wants to talk about Mac Jones. And then we're talking about receivers, the weapons and everything. It doesn't matter who's the wide receiver of Alabama. That particular person is going to get 4 touchdown passes, whoever it is. They got plenty of weapons on both sides of the ball. And don't be surprised if Alabama wins the national championship this year.
I won't.
I agree. And then thinking about Clemson, right? Clemson has Virginia Tech at the end of their schedule, right? Let's not forget that Virginia Tech, even though they might have, I believe, 2 losses, they've been keeping up some very hard games. And even the past couple of years, Virginia Tech has always been that kind of like team out the blue that will give you a hard time. And I think having 2 years off, especially with COVID, depending on how he actually recovers and everything else like that, I foresee Clemson getting a loss. And they might actually get it at the end of the year, which will just knock them out completely. If any team's going to give them that loss, it will. My bet would be Virginia Tech.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree with Alabama being number 1. This is the second week in a row I had them. After the Clemson-Syracuse game, I didn't like what Clemson looked like. I only pushed them to number 2, but I believe Alabama is the best team in the country. And I said it last week. Even with losing Jalen Waddle, I think Devontae Smith is an even better receiver. I think he's probably the best receiver in college football, and he's just a dominant presence who cannot be stopped by any DB in the SEC.
Interestingly enough, I watched a lot of the Notre Dame game last week, and I watched most of the game where they didn't play great. Notre Dame put together at times they looked like one of the top teams in the country, and at other times in that game they looked really ordinary. And I mean, I think Clemson's in big trouble. I mean, it's definitely not the same team without Trevor Lawrence. They didn't play well the last week Trevor Lawrence was there. Well,
yeah,
they played well enough, but they didn't play the way you expected it. And so I think because Sean, it was hard for me because I like Clemson a lot and I love Trevor Lawrence. And I kept Trevor on my list and I only dropped them down because legit, I mean, even if Trevor Lawrence would have been in the game this week and they are this past weekend and they would have won as close as they did, I would have put Bama over Clemson. And the fact that they're going to suffer a loss likely to Notre Dame. And again, I can overlook that, Sean, right? I can overlook it and be like, that was the Trevor Lawrence-less team. But I mean, we are still counting records though.
Yeah, I don't think it should be overlooked though if they get beat. Like DJ, he came in last. I'm not gonna even try to pronounce his last name.
Uiagalelei.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that guy.
But he's a stud. I mean, he showed it. He was the top rated quarterback in his class coming out of high school. He came out last week and played a pretty good game. So I don't think it should be. If Notre Dame comes out and beats Clemson, I don't think it should just be, hey, Clemson didn't have Trevor Lawrence. We should still keep him at the top. I think they deserve to be dropped in the rankings because I think they should be able to function without Trevor Lawrence. Just as good of a talent as DJ is, I think they should be able to do just as much on offense. And that's why I don't think Clemson is going to be hurting Trevor Lawrence as much as people think.
Well, I agree with Steve Rizzer. It could be an opportunity depending on how Miami does. But we could probably see these two teams go at it for the ACC championship later on. So
Miami will find a way to blow it.
I mean, they got Derek King, man. Derek King is doing a good job. I mean, they actually got a quarterback.
I like him a lot. It's been a long time since I've liked a Miami quarterback, but he's a good guy. He's a good kid, and he's a good ball player. So, I if I had to guess, I would say these two teams definitely see each other in the ACC final, and I do think that Miami will somehow find a way to blow it. It just seems sort of par for the course of that program. It just sort of seems to be the way things go there. So I wouldn't be surprised. The reason why I sort of brought it up is because of the idea of Justin Fields and Ohio State. And I made Ohio State play a game before I put them into my top 5. And I made Justin Fields play a game before I think I had him number 2 on my Heisman list. Come out of the look. He's an exception that I'll make because this was a guy who was in contention for it last year. Started the season as along with Trevor Lawrence as one of the favorites to win the award. So he came out the 21 for 22. He was 15 for 16 out of the gate in game 2. Didn't quite finish as strongly, but he did everything he was supposed to do so that I could say, well, I've seen 2 games. I'd like to see more. And it's tough when you compare him to guys like, Grayson McCall, who's played 6 games and who you've seen do some amazing things. But, that's what I'm saying. Can I hold up a guy like Justin Fields after 2 games or look at a team like Ohio State after 2 games and decide I've seen enough? And I think Ohio State's a special team. And I think Justin Fields is a special player. I don't think you could do that with Penn State. Well, people tried and it failed. People tried to do that with Michigan. And Joe Milton, and that failed. So I think you look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence. I think Sean said it earlier that Trevor, or maybe Rob even said it, that Trevor could come back after the Notre Dame game and be lights out and still win the award.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock anybody if that happened.
I do have a problem with that though, because look, if you got a quarterback that's playing every single game, why not award that quarterback? Why are we awarding somebody that didn't play every game?
The award's the best player.
Right, the best player. So why not the other guy? For example, Zach Wilson. Isn't he not the best player?
It's not a statistical award.
It's a production award.
It's right. It's not even that. It's not like it's not the guy that scores the most points. It's not this guy that scores the most touchdowns or has the most yards. It's the person who you deem was the best player. And again, I think if you're Trevor Lawrence, you started the season, everybody recognized you as the best player in college.
Right. I believe that.
Him missing 2 games and then coming back and finishing strong. What's the penalty here for him? If I'm willing to overlook that Justin Fields is 5 games back of everybody else,
I think
why in the middle of the season, if he's going to miss 2 games and then finish like a baller, why would I not put him right back on my list?
Maybe because
he's still probably the best college quarterback in the game.
He's missing probably their biggest game of the season.
Exactly.
So, I mean, but you make a valid point though. If he misses this game next week, and then he just blows it out the water, I mean, it's just to some people there's going to be an asterisk next to it just because he didn't finish it out. Especially when you miss the biggest. When you miss the biggest game. But I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
Myles Brennan missed 2 games in a row with what was called a lower body injury. And I thought, I mean, dude, you're playing a short season. Yeah. How are you missing? How are you missing time?
True.
There's a difference between my lower body's just beat to hell from getting sacked so many times, and I've got COVID. I'd like to play and I can't. Because I'll tell you what, I would still take COVID-ridden Trevor Lawrence and the cough over Myles Brennan any day of the week.
Well, Myles Brennan is a different person here, so I mean he's not even considered a Heisman.
No, no. Hey, there was no reason for me to kick Myles Brennan in the teeth. I just did that because I hate LSU.
But I'll tell you what, I know you're you sound like you're mad, like somebody pissed you off. But I wanna lean over to my boy Rob real quick. Rob, 30 seconds, man. Introduce yourself. Introduce your show to the audience.
Word, everybody. So I'm Rob from I'll Piss You Off Shortly. I'm your least favorite host on the CMG network. You can catch me Monday nights at 9 p.m. I'll Piss You Off Shortly on all social media platforms there. We talk about everyday issues that nobody really wants to discuss, and we just get deep into it. Very respectful platform. Check us out Monday nights 9 p.m. I'll Piss You Off Shortly on Instagram, Facebook. It's a good old time. It's I don't like to say it's that barbershop feeling, but definitely is. Definitely
it's
is
a
that
barbershop feeling. It is.
It is. But it's not just to it's not just for men too, by the way. The women get involved, and that's the best part. Like when they get it, because they get in, they correct us, and then we move forward and have a good time. So if you want to have a good time, de-stress from that Monday jitters from your work week, 9 p.m. Catch us Facebook, YouTube. I'll Piss You Off Shortly.
And his co-host is hot.
Super hot. He's like the best hair in the world. Like amazing. The Fonzie looks is
Well, you got that show on Monday. Today, Wednesday, November 4th, is the debut of the Mid-American Conference. The Mid-American Conference. Right. And also, the Pac-12 will start this Saturday.
Yes.
So finally, we got all the Power 5 conferences playing football, and that's exactly what we want here. Week 10, College Pick'em. The results after Week 9. Congratulations to Jace. He got 9 wins. His key victories were Nevada over UNLV and the upset with West Virginia over Kansas State. But overall, myself, the host, the man, the producer, Ovi Muniz, leads the way with 56 wins. Sean, Jason, Joe are falling into the ranks. And I'm happy to say we got also Rob, who will be partaking as a special guest on our show to make his college picks as well. As we move on forward, we're going to start, ladies and gentlemen, Week 10, College Pick'em. Here we go. First one, Utah State at Nevada. Mountain West game. We're going to start with Big Jace first, then Joe, Sean, Rob, and then myself.
All right, I'm going Carson Strong in Nevada, going to throw the ball all over the Aggies defense, and Nevada will get it done and move on to 3-0 in the Mountain West.
Yeah, this seems like a no-brainer pick here. Nevada takes it over the Utes. The Utes.
I agree.
Aggies, but
whatever.
yeah, I agree. Nevada's off to a good start this year. I think they'll continue to get it going against a rough start for Utah State. So, yeah, I think they'll win pretty big in this game.
I don't really follow junior colleges, Jace.
I got Nevada going too.
You know, I don't like when Joe says this is a no-brainer, because this is like that Dr. Pepper commercial when the guy says, "Oh, it's automatic," and then he misses it. So that's exactly what Joe is when he says it's a no-brainer. You may not want to take that pick, but I'm gonna gamble here and go for Nevada over Utah State anyway.
Let me ask you a question. I
will give you an answer.
Nevada over Utah State. Are you seeing 2-0 versus 0-2, and you didn't even know Utah had a state university?
Oh, I know about Nevada and Utah State, but
I've heard
you,
of Nevada.
it's
I
just
didn't realize that Utah State was even like
My mom's alma mater.
at the Division I level. I didn't even realize that.
Look,
That's
I got
huge.
educated by
Jordan Love, who was just drafted to the Packers. The Utah State University.
Yeah. Okay. But hey, let's move on here. Number 9, Miami 4-1 versus NC State 4-2.
I'm gonna go with the Hurricanes to get it done and decisively. I like De'Aaron King, and he's gonna keep the Hurricanes rolling. Their only loss is gonna be to Clemson.
NC State's got a pretty good defense, and I think they could surprise some people here. I'm gonna do it.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, watch me. Yeah, I'm
Do
taking the Wolfpack in the upset.
Oh my God!
And they're banged
I like
up
it.
too. They're a banged up squad right there, but I feel like they're gonna do it. They're gonna mess it all up.
Yeah,
I just lost ratings right now because of that pick.
You said that last week when I said Michigan State would beat Michigan, and now look where we're at.
Did you say Michigan State? I'm gonna have to backtrack.
The rivalry game. I said Michigan always finds a way to blow it.
Very
All right, I'm going to go with the U on this one. I think De'Aaron King and that offense will get it done. And NC State, they had a good start to the season, but their last game, they got clapped by North Carolina, who looks like they're having a pretty rough season now. So I don't believe in NC State that much. I think Miami's going to score a whole bunch of points against NC State and win this one pretty handily.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with the U2. Like you said, North Carolina smacked them up pretty good, and like I said, Virginia Tech gave them their first loss, and that was a pretty bad beating. So yeah, going with the U for that.
Yeah, Joe, to be honest, yes, you did call Michigan State. Yes, you did. You're the only one. However, Miami's going to beat NC State.
Maybe.
San
Or
Jose.
maybe they won't.
Of course, that's why we pick them, right? San Jose State and San Diego State, Mountain West, both 2-0. This is going to be an outstanding game. You don't want to miss this one. Jace?
I think San Diego State's going to slow it down, make it a grueling game, and their defense is going to win, come out here and get 3-0 in the Mountain West and hand San Jose State their first loss. The Aztecs are.
Yeah, I'm taking San Diego State here. I think at home, I think they win. I think they win this one out.
I agree. San Jose State has been off to one of the best starts really in their program history. They never have a good team, but 2-0 is a good start. But I think it's going to end this week. San Diego State is probably the most impressive team in the Mountain West. If not, probably Boise State too, but I think they're up there. So I'll take the Aztecs in this one.
Go ahead with the trend. Aztecs, man, they've come out clean. 30 plus wins. I mean, as far as like 30 plus points on a win chart, so you can't beat it. And it's super clean team.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep. San Diego State. I actually seen this team play against Army in the bowl game a couple of years ago. They got a good offensive line. They always have a best run game. I think they're going to do it up to San Jose State. I don't know about Frank. Frank, I don't know what type of football you're watching, but nobody knows who San Jose State is. But if they win, we'll start to get to know them. But, hey, the main game here is number 7 BYU against number 19 Boise State. Now, this is the game, and I'm going to tell you right now, Jace, that if BYU wins, I will finally give them their respect, just like how you gave respect to Mac Jones. So,
You gonna put a pie in your face?
I will not.
No, you won't.
But this is one hell of a game. You can't. I mean, yeah.
This is going to be a great game. Friday night, BYU is going to go in on the Smurf turf and get it done. Zach Wilson is the real deal. Boise State's still struggling to find their quarterback. I think Hake Bachenmeyer is a really good QB, but they're can't decide between two. I think BYU goes in and gets it done and hands Boise State their first loss, and BYU gets a big, big win under their belt.
I rarely ever agree with anything that comes out of Jace's mouth, but I'm with you on this. BYU crushing it, and I'm telling you, I think BYU. What, Ovi? You don't like it? You don't like it?
I'm saving my comments for later. Go ahead.
You don't like it?
Yeah.
BYU's going to win that, and I'm telling you, this is going to be. You got another team in the top 10 who could very well finish undefeated. Mm-hmm. And when you've got all these other teams that are going to be playing each other, I'm telling you, they're going to be in an interesting position because they don't want these teams there. They don't want Cincinnati, and they don't want BYU in the top 10. And the fact that those teams are both there, and likely this is a big game, obviously, for BYU to stay in the hunt. You got to run the table, baby. This is a big game for them, and I think they definitely get it done.
All right.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Joe. The committee definitely doesn't want them up there, and they're not going to have to worry about it after this week. I think the Boise State Broncos are going to get it done. Yes. Going to the blue. Look, I have a lot of respect for BYU. They're a really good team. Zach Wilson's done tremendous. I have him as the number 7 and in my rankings too. But I just have a weird feeling about this game going up to the blue turf. Boise State, as Jace mentioned, hasn't found their quarterback, but the quarterback they had in the first game played pretty well. So we'll see if he can come out and do it again. But I have a weird feeling it's going to be an upset. I think it'll be a really close game, but I think Boise State wins late.
Yeah, this is tough, but I'm going with BYU. I mean, you can't bet against Zach Wilson first and foremost, especially at the heat that he's going on. And then Boise State, they struggled against Air Force. So anybody that struggles against the Air Force, I can't really put too much too much faith behind. But yeah, I'm going with my man Zach and BYU.
First of all, Air Force do got a good football team. I'm not saying they're elite, but that's still a solid team. However, BYU has never, ever won at Boise State, and they'll never.
There's always a first.
Not this Friday. Boise State will defeat BYU.
It's so funny when we talk about analytics and we talk about like streaks like that. And you tell me like somebody's 0 for 6 or 0 for 8 or 0 for 12 or 15 in a row. Dude, my thought always is that's got to end eventually.
Yeah, eventually, yes, but not this Friday.
But this would seem like as likely a time as any. This is the best BYU team ever.
No, okay. Let me stop you there. BYU has been playing.
You said Air Force has a good football team, and I wanted to agree with you on one point. They do have a football team.
Absolutely, they do. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because that is the next topic of our discussion. Air Force at Army, and this is the spread, and Army's favorite at 6 points. Jace.
Air Force is a all right football team, but I think Army will win this game. But with the brand of football that Army plays, 6 is too many for them. I think Army wins, but I like Air Force to cover.
Army will beat this mediocre Air Force team by at least 7 points.
Yeah, I agree. Army's going to pound the rock all over Air Force. I think even though with the style of play, even though they don't get that many possessions and they hold on to the ball for a while, I still think they're going to dominate in this game. I could see them winning by probably 17 points, but I'm going to take Army with the number.
Hey,
Did you
Rob,
pick any cheap shots? Did you want to take any cheap shots at Air Force before you
Rob,
finished your pick,
exactly.
Sean?
Rob, read this for me. Read
No,
this
I'm all
for me,
good.
Rob.
I take Army over the pencil pushers all day. That's what I'm talking about, Frank. I'm with you, Frank. Go Army, baby. Go Army. I take them with the spread too. Yeah, like definitely. I would probably fall more in line with Joe between that 7 and 10 mark. But yeah, we'll go ahead.
Well, you know my answer already. Go Army. Beat Air Force. That's right. USC and Arizona State, their debut, Pac-12. USC is favorite at 10.5. We haven't seen another one, but Herm Edwards is coaching up Arizona State. This is pretty interesting. Jace, who you got here?
Pac-12's back, baby. This team will be the winner of the Pac-12 South and face Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. And I like Herm Edwards and Jaden Daniels, one of the best freshman quarterbacks last year, coming into a new season. I know he lost some weapons, but I like the Sun Devils to go in and get the win against USC.
Arizona State, I think, is probably you hit it on the head. I mean, the winner of this game wins the Pac-12 South, and I have ASU doing it.
Well, yeah, I have ASU covering. I think USC will probably pull it out. I think Keenan Slovis will have a big game, but I definitely will take Arizona State with the points. I could see this game being around a 3-point game.
I agree. Arizona State. I don't know if I have it that high, but yeah, definitely by 3.
Arizona State plays so well against ranked teams that when Arizona State found themselves ranked in the top 25, they find a way to lose. Funny how that went last year. This year, Arizona State is going to put it on USC, and they're going to show them what negative 10.5 looks like. So go Arizona State. Now we'll move on to Michigan and Indiana. Indiana in the all 4 downs rankings are ranked number 20. Michigan's favorite at 3.5.
Michigan shouldn't be favorited here. Indiana's good. They're a solid team. They'll go in and get it done. Joe Milton is he's a Cam Newton clone. He's not going to get it done. Michigan are who they thought they were, and Harbaugh is on the hot seat, and Indiana will get it done at home.
Michigan's beaten Indiana 24 times in a row. They haven't turned the football over at all this season. But Indiana is great at creating turnovers. I said it earlier. I say it again. Joe Milton, not all he's cracked up to be. I'm taking Indiana to beat Michigan.
Yeah, I'm going to take Indiana to cover the plus 3.5. I don't know if they'll win because I think Michigan will bounce back after an upsetting week. And if you look at Indiana's wins, I don't really believe Penn State is obviously they're a pretty good team, but I don't think they're in the top 25 right now. And then they go and beat Rutgers. So I don't know how impressive Indiana is yet. I think they're pretty good, but I think there's definitely a chance Michigan can bounce back. But it will be a close game, so I'll take the Indiana plus 3.5.
Kind of still juggling this one. I think I'm going to take Michigan with the spread. I think I'm going to have Michigan cover.
You know, I like the way you think, Rob. Good job. I agree. Indiana is a bunch of pretenders. They start hot the first couple of games, and then they start doing their losing streak. They're going to start their losing streak this weekend once they fall to Michigan. Michigan will beat them by 2 touchdowns. Liberty at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's favorite at 14.5 against a Liberty that I have a lot of respect for. I mean, they're 6-0. Oh, this is a tough one, Jace.
This is a real test for Liberty. We're gonna see how good and if they belong, if they deserve that number next to their name. And sadly, I do not think so. I think Virginia Tech will get it done, but that number is way too big. So I'll go Liberty to cover, but Virginia Tech will win outright.
I'm going to take Liberty in the 14.5.
I'm going to take Virginia Tech with the plus 14.5. If you look at Liberty's schedule, their best win is against Syracuse. They haven't played anyone. And I put them in my rankings this week because of the undefeated record. but I just don't. I don't believe they're going to be a match for Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech.
Syracuse almost beat Clemson.
Win. Good. They get up for Clemson every year. They beat them a couple years ago. That's Cuse's big game. So good for Cuse. They're a terrible team still, and I'm going to take Virginia Tech in this one.
Yeah. I'm going to take Virginia Tech, but like Jay said, that number's too high. Maybe have Virginia Tech winning by 6.
So you're going for Liberty?
No, Virginia Tech winning the game, but only by 6.
So you're taking Liberty for the points?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to take Virginia Tech, and I'm taking the 14.5. Virginia Tech is going to run over Liberty. It's at Virginia Tech, so I won't be surprised if they run over them and be up over 21 points. So that's my prediction there. But, hey, we got 2 losers on this one. We got Oklahoma State and Kansas State. Oklahoma State had a chance to represent the Big 12. So did Kansas State. But once you start talking about them, they're nowhere to be found. But on this one, Oklahoma State's favorite at 12.5.
I like OSU. They had that hump. They're going to bounce back from it, and they're going to crush Kansas State. Oklahoma State is a good Big 12 team, but they're not a good college football playoff contender.
I'm going to take Kansas State and the 12.5 points. I think Oklahoma State wins another one of these stupid shootouts. Maybe it even goes to OT. But yeah, they're not gonna blow out KSU.
I agree with Jace on this one. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State. I believe they win by at least 2 touchdowns. Kansas State, once they lost Skylar Thompson, it looked like they might be able to make their way around it. But after seeing last week's performance, they really did not look good at all, getting absolutely waxed by West Virginia. And I think Oklahoma State is going to be pissed off. I think they're going to be bounced back big. And because Sanders had a huge game, and Hubbard kind of got shut down by Texas. So I think he's going to be running wild against Kansas State.
Keep it short. I'll take Kansas State. I don't think Oklahoma State can put up that many.
Yeah, the spread is too big. I'll pick Kansas State. Arizona at Utah. This is Jace's favorite team. He is so happy. Hopefully he can be able to see this game if you got ESPN Plus. But what you got there, Jace?
Utah is going to get it done. They got the senior grad transfer from South Carolina in Jake Bentley. They have a solid tight end in Brant Keithy. I really like the offense. The defense is a little shaky, losing a lot to the NFL draft. But I like Utah to go in, get it done in a shootout, and cover the 14.
Yeah, I think Utah probably wins this one by about 20 or more, somewhere between 20 and 25 points.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm going to go with Jace's Utes here. I'm going to pick them to cover.
The real U.
Whatever.
I'm jumping on a bandwagon with the U.
Hey, Utah was ranked number 7, the highest last year. They came close to making it to the college football playoffs until they lost to Oregon. I think this is their season to represent the Pac-12. Maybe. Who knows, depending on this game. But I pick Utah, man. I'm on your side, Jace, man. I'm on your side.
Right.
But, hey, speaking about the spread and everything, the next one, UMass, finally gets a second game, ladies and gentlemen. And they play Marshall, which is 5-0, 4-5 point. This is the highest it's been this season. Jace.
UMass has a flag football team, not a real football team. Marshall will get those points. It's going to be a 50-point game at least.
Yeah, I've got Marshall winning this one 57-0. So I'm going to take Marshall, and you can have the points.
Yeah, you got to. It's pretty nuts to be picking a game plus or minus 45. But UMass, if they had Victor Cruz playing with them, maybe I'd pick them to cover. But they're not going to have that. Marshall's going to win huge in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking that. You must not show up to play. That's what they must not do. Just don't even show up.
Yeah, I got Marshall. I never picked a team with that big of a spread, but this is going to be my first. Stanford at Oregon. Oregon favorite 11. What you got, Jace?
Oregon is the team to beat in the Pac-12 North. However, I think Stanford keeps it close. This is going to be like a 1-touchdown game. Oregon, they have to regroup from losing their whole offensive line, basically, and Justin Herbert. So I think their offense is going to struggle. I do think they come out with the win in the end, though, but they will not cover the 11 points. So I'm going Stanford with the spread.
I think they will. I think they'll win the game by 2 touchdowns over Stanford. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Stanford to cover 2. It's the first game for both these teams, so they're just going to be getting used to each other and the schemes and all that stuff. And it's a huge rivalry game, so I'm sure David Shaw will get his guys up to contend in this game. So I think Oregon will win, but I do think Stanford will cover that number.
I'm going with Stanford for the win all around. I think Stanford's going to upset.
Okay. Well, I'm actually going to go with Oregon. There's a reason why they're ranked at 0-0 or 0-0. Until I see anything different with Stanford, they've been struggling the last couple of years, but hopefully they'll make some noise. But right now, I got Oregon at with -11, and that leads us to our next one, the wild card. Now, this wild card we're doing is something different here. So we're going to spin the wheel, and I'm going to show you guys what that means. Here's an example. And the example is this. It'll be, excuse me, I lost track here. Jace, Sean, Joe, myself, and Rob, we're going to spin the wheel. And what happens is we're going to spin it. And once the game is picked, that is your game that you're going to choose.
So is that me?
For the over-under. No, that's not you.
Okay.
That is not you.
Okay.
That is not you, my friend. However, are you ready?
All right.
All right, pick number 1. Here we go. Rice or San Antonio?
I'm going to go UTSA to get the win, but that's an under game. That's going to be some atrocious football played on that field.
All right, Sean, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Who you got?
Wait, hold. I couldn't wait. Oh, okay. UCLA, Colorado. Let's see. I will go with. Give me UCLA. And what's the number? The video didn't pop up for me.
56.5.
56. I'll take the over.
You take the over?
Yeah, over in UCLA.
All right, now we got Joe in the house. Are you ready, Joe?
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Big money.
We got Tulane in East Carolina, 61.
Well, that's great. Yeah. Tulane, East Carolina, 61. Gonna go with Tulane in the under.
Tulane in the under. All right, now it's my turn. Unless Rob, you want this one.
No, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Here's my pick. All right, so 52.5, Texas against Arkansas. Ooh, I don't know. This is a toss-up. I think I'm going to pick Arkansas, and I'm going to go for the under on this one. And that leaves us to Rob. Are you ready, Rob?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and go. Jeez, this is tough. Let me go ahead and take. Yeah, I lied. I'm gonna take TCU, and I'm gonna take. That was 62.
That's right, 62 points.
That's tough because Texas Tech has been they haven't been putting up crazy numbers, but I'm gonna go with TCU but under.
All right, TCU at under.
Yeah.
And that pretty much wraps up the wild card. And now we're down to 2 games. That's right. We're going to start with the rivalry game here. And this is no other than Georgia and Florida.
Gator bait.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And listen. Oh, boy. Somebody's having trouble over there. You all right, Jace?
Y'all, we scared them Bulldogs already?
I ain't no bulldog.
You hear that gator moving? You
all right, Jace?
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, this is it. Georgia and Florida. They're playing this Saturday. Big rivalry game here. Again, Georgia's on a win streak. They've won 3 straight SEC East championships. They've been representing the East 3 times in a row. I know Rob is loving it right now. But hey, it is what it is. It's finally here. I want to start with Rob first on this one because he's a Gator fan. What do you see in this game?
So honestly, I definitely see another good, solid game. Even though we have, 3 players sitting out the first half, I think that our defense is definitely going to show out. And it's weird, right? Because most of our players that's missing out are the second half. But I know our secondary and actually like our second string, they've actually showed up. And I think that's what's actually saved us a couple of times, minus versus A&M, where A&M just outsmarted us. But I think that I don't think Georgia's defense is prepared as well, or I don't think Georgia's defense is I think it's going to be a good offense. Well, I think both of our defenses. I'm sorry, Georgia's defense is not going to be as prepared as our defense, but I think your offense is definitely going to give us a hard time. It's going to be a good offensive defensive match when Georgia's on the field, has the ball.
Well, I think the key point for Georgia to beat Florida is to stop Kadarius Toney. He is a big threat running back for Florida team. But listen, Georgia's known for one of the best defense in the country. I know that they'll be able to stop that running game. You got Nakobe Dean, Richard LeCounte, Jermaine Johnson. I mean, these guys, they rotate in the linebacker position. I know I'm confident that my defense. I'm worried about is my offense. Quarterback Stetson. Will he be tall enough to throw the ball in the middle of the field? That is my biggest fear. Or will the coach actually put JT Daniels in there in the second half? Who knows? But I got this game close. I got Georgia defeating Florida Gators, and then we'll move up in the rankings. Jace?
Really?
All right. I've had a lot of faith in Georgia, but Stetson Bennett is just not getting it done. They need to put JT Daniels in, and right now they have Stetson Bennett. So I'm going to go with the Gators. I'm going to go with the Kyle to Kyle connection, Trask to Pitts to get it done against that defense, and I'm going to pick the Gators to win it.
And don't forget Pierce, man. Pierce is going to run y'all. Pierce is going to run
please stop. Look, Pierce you mentioned Pitts. I know he's a big tight end, but you only had one good game. That was the very first game. I haven't heard Pitts ever since.
I said Pierce. Pierce.
Oh, him too. He's a scrub. Joe, what's your pick, Joe?
Well, here's my question for Jace, because he keeps saying that. He says this all the time, and it's so ridiculous.
What?
If he was so good, why do they start Bennett every week?
I
Do you know
don't
something?
know. I
Do you
do
know
not know.
something that nobody else knows?
I know that JT Daniels can win you games. Right now, Stenson Bennett.
You know that based on
is
what?
How he has played in the past.
I mean, he is a transfer from USC.
Sure.
But at the same time, he wasn't the starter from the get-go.
But what is the Georgia coaching staff not seeing?
I don't know. Why is Justin Fields not at Georgia right now? It's something with the coaching staff. Justin Fields was at Georgia and then he transferred to Ohio State. They might have no, they can't do that because JT Daniels already transferred into Georgia. So I don't know what Kirby Smart is smoking. Because if he was smart, Justin Fields would be their quarterback right now. He doesn't understand quarterbacks.
Listen, this guy came out from an injury. He broke his leg in USC. He's coming over to Georgia. He's conditioning. He's already cleared, but he hasn't had that many snaps. And I wouldn't throw him in the game right away just so he could start throwing some rust. All right? Right now, Stenson is the best chance for Georgia at this moment. Now, could we see JT Daniels later? Who knows? But Joe got a point. We haven't seen him. He hasn't done anything. He's not even in the picture. We talked about him at week 1.
That's why I'm picking
But that's
Florida.
it. So, okay, you pick Florida.
Oh, good.
Joe is
Well,
picking.
we're all picking Florida then. Georgia's got such a great defense, and it's a shame that the offense just isn't good enough. And I just don't think in the swamp it's going to be good enough to be a pretty good Florida team. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any stretch. I think it'll be a hard fought game. I just think that Florida's got too much, and I don't think Georgia has enough.
Well, Joe, I'm gonna tell you right now, if Florida wins, I'll give you the cocktail.
But Joe makes a good point though. Whoa, hold on. Whoa, that just hit me. What cocktail is that? Pause.
Okay, hey, get your head out of your ass because this is called the Cocktail Party Bowl. I mean, if y'all didn't know the history, I mean, I gave each one of y'all a copy of the history of Florida and Georgia, and y'all still messed it up.
No, we hear you, but the way you presented it, like, I'm gonna give you the cocktail. Like, all right,
I gave y'all a cocktail.
Yeah, I'll give you my cocktail right here, buddy.
But
it was the way you said it. Yeah, for sure.
My bad, your fault.
But you got, like I said, you got a secondary that's nasty between Miller, Davis, Cox Jr. Especially Cox Jr. He's definitely been showing out this year. So I don't know, man. It's y'all better figure out that quarterback position because if not,
hey. So Sean, who you got, man?
I'm gonna go with the Gators on this one.
I'm by myself with Georgia, and that's why I'm gonna win again this week because I'm the man.
Yeah, so you really think that this is the only red that's gonna win this week? We got red versus blue. Come on now.
The only red because blue's gonna win the other game. So. Those of you that don't know what we're talking about, stay tuned to I'll Piss You Off Shortly podcast that happens on Monday night. And now we're going to our game of the week. Check it out.
An emotional entrance of the Clemson Tigers for this game here this Montana. Screen pass left. Vegas Ferguson to the 35, inside the 30, Vegas Ferguson to the 20, 15, and he's out of bounds. Montana, touchdown Notre Dame.
Scott in motion, Watson does keep it, and heads to the end zone. Kaiser loops it for the end zone. Touchdown! Torrey Hunter Jr. with 7 seconds to play. The Irish are a 2-point conversion away from overtime. Kaiser rolls, runs into traffic, and comes up a yard short. Boulware, Watkins, and the Clemson defense rises up.
Down to one, the penalty right in front of him for late hit. ETN explodes through the hole. 1 man
wants to stop him, Jalen Elliott, and he will not. Touchdown, Clemson, 62 yards in a blur.
And there you have it. These are the highlights. 4 games. Clemson's in the lead. They won 3 of the 4 games. We're coming out to this Saturday, game of the week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ABC, ESPN Network. But before we make our picks, I want to recognize 3 football players that will be there at the game. These 3 are from Connecticut. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Tyson Foom, Trey Williams, and Drew Pine. I'm surprised that they were on that roster, but out of the 3, Trey Williams will be playing this Saturday as a defensive tackle. It's wonderful to hear about this kid because he comes a long way. Transferred to Washington, D.C., and finally got a full scholarship to play for Clemson, and he's doing one hell of a job there. So congrats to these 3 making it to playing college football. But here we go. Game of the week, Jace, Clemson, Notre Dame. Who you got?
I've been going back and forth about this game all week. It's rough. Notre Dame has a very, very solid defense. Possibly might even give your Bulldogs a run for the money as the best defense in the country. But Clemson is Clemson. Even though they don't have Trevor Lawrence, they still do have Travis Etienne. Their defense looked a little rough last week and the past couple weeks. But I think they were looking ahead at stuff. And then they had to struggle to get back to being Clemson once they got the news that they were going to have a new quarterback. I like DJ Uiagalelei, and I think he will do just enough for Clemson to pull out the victory.
Just before we move on, I stand corrected. The game will be on NBC. Thank you, Steve, for reminding me. It'll be on NBC, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, look, I think Clemson's going to be all right. I think this young quarterback, Uiagalelei, is that his name, Jace? DJ Uiagalelei. I think this is a name like Tua Tagovailoa. We should all learn how to say it eventually, because otherwise we're just. I hate when we start calling guys by like the Madonna nickname. You know what I mean? I gotta shorten it down to one. But I think Clemson. I think this is a huge game for Clemson, and I think Clemson should feel extremely disrespected. ESPN has them ranked 4th right now. I mean, ESPN is just like, no Trevor, no way. I think that's a huge slap in the face to Clemson. This is a really good football team. I know they've had some issues, but I think you need games like that. I think it's what builds character, and I think it's the reason why. Again, I watched all most of Notre Dame's game last week, and I was so looking forward to this matchup. I just don't think Notre Dame's going to be able to pull it off.
Oh, I'm up next. Well, I think I'll go with, of course, I'm going to go with Clemson. It's a no-brainer. Even with Trevor Lawrence gone, DJ's going to do a phenomenal job. And the best part about DJ is he has a phenomenal supporting cast, right? So you have, not only you have Etienne, right, you also have Amari Rodgers. And let's not forget that Amari Rodgers is 100% for completion, right? Even with his one pass for 8 yards, and it was a nice play for them, right? DJ has the backing for him as well. And then what's my name? I always mess with Balin on defense. Balin Spencer. He's a beast. So like his tackle game is phenomenal. So yeah, Clemson for the win.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm gonna go with Clemson. I think a lot of people across the nation right now are thinking that Clemson has struggled the past 2 games and no Trevor Lawrence and the way that Notre Dame looked, that Notre Dame's going to come out here and upset Clemson and actually beat them pretty good. But I think it's going to be the other way around. These are the games that Dabo lives for. He loves to get his team up for big games like this, especially when people are doubting him with no Trevor Lawrence. So I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to have a great performance. And we know Notre Dame the past 10 years or so, every big game that they're in, they never show up for it, similar to Michigan. So I just don't believe in the hype for Notre Dame this week. I think it will be a pretty close game up to the 4th quarter. And I think Clemson will pull away and win by probably 2 touchdowns.
Well, last week, Clemson struggled at the beginning against Boston College, and then they came back with an 18-point deficit and pretty much handled business from there. But for Clemson, knowing Clemson, they probably consider that game as a loss. Same thing that happened last year. They almost lost to North Carolina, with a failed 2-point conversion. And ever since that, they've been scoring 45 points or more against their opponents. So I expect the same thing to happen this Saturday. Clemson is going to roll over Notre Dame, and Clemson's going to prove the whole world why they should still be the number 1 team. So, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know if they'll be number 1 at the end.
Oh, no, I don't. We're picking them at Alabama. I still got Alabama number 1, but I'm saying they're proving everybody that they're the number 1 team in the country.
Gotcha.
So that's what I meant. But hey, that's the show. Guys, I appreciate it. Once
quick
again,
thought.
Rob.
One
go
quick
ahead.
thought. If Clemson blows out Notre Dame, say by a couple touchdowns, decisive win.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody putting them back at number 1? I mean, a dominant win over Notre Dame. Would you think about it?
I would.
Especially with Trevor Lawrence not there.
Okay.
I would. But then again, Alabama is not playing this week.
Right.
So it's close. I don't know. Either or. 1 and 2s is the same thing. 1 and 2's got to be the same thing because in the college playoffs, they're not playing each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
So, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I like this game. I like both teams, and I hope that it's going to be a game worth watching. But I just, I'm with you. Notre Dame on the main games, they don't really show up for it. So we'll see if they do this time around. But, hey, Rob, thank you so much for being our show. We want you back again.
Thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Hey, I'll Pitch You Off podcast. Again, CMG, every Monday. Check him out. Follow him on Facebook,
baby.
Twitter, Instagram, you name it. He's all over social media.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Joe, you got the last word, my friend.
I'll try to make it brief. Florida Gators coach was fined $25,000 and given a reprimand for violating the SEC's bylaws governing sportsmanship because of the brawl on Saturday against Missouri. Coach Mullen had to be held back by his own staff at one point in the middle of this scuffle of kids. He later explained that he was trying to get his players off the field. Interesting way to do it, was my thought. He also waved his arms to the crowd. Then when he finally got his team into the locker room, he went back out so he could gaslight the fans. Mullen said his players believed they were acting in defense of quarterback Kyle Trask, believing that the hit he suffered on the final play of the first half was, quote, unfair. Well, Dan Mullen doesn't understand the concept of fair. Dan Mullen only sees things through his eyes. He lacks perspective with anything that's not about him. I don't know why this guy's a coach. He does not care about kids. This is not the kind of man you want around impressionable young men. Now, I thought this about Mullen before all this. This incident, combined with some of the other stupid and insensitive things he said before, he just further proves my point. Florida is a great college program. It's not about wins and losses. It's about developing winners. And unfortunately, Dan Mullen is a loser. For Jace Garcia, Sean Scanlon, and our super producer, Ovi Munez, I am Joe Aguirre. Enjoy the games. We'll talk to you next Wednesday night for All Four Downs.